the game. You don't play it, just play it. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm for you! Can't wait! Let's go!
All right. What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday. A bit later than normal, but still had to come with the big three. I mean, just like last week, joined by Brett Garda 3. You know, the other guys are caught up in some things, couldn't be on the show. You know, that's life, that kind of happens. But I always know if I need somebody, I can always call on Brett to be on. So, Brett, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm good. You know, it was like the sports equinox or whatever. You know, a lot. You know, every sport kind of going. I mean, my team's 3-0. The Celtics like the way that I've seen the new pieces fitting in, which we'll get into NBA stuff in a little bit here. But yeah, I can't complain. You know, anytime I get a chance to talk sports, I'm always happy. So I guess before we even get into all that, you know, a major thing did happen in the NBA. You know, the Sixers finally unloaded James Harden. To be honest with you, I felt like this was a story that's going to linger maybe till the trade deadline. Then maybe something happens. But no, he finally got his, I guess, preferred destination of the Clippers. And to break down the trade, you know, we'll go into that. But the Sixers are going to get Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, Robert Covington, Kenyon Martin Jr., and draft picks. But I think the odd thing in there is like there's supposed to be like some pick from some random third team that we don't know about. I don't know how they could do the trade without knowing who the third team is and what the picks are. And Philly's going to get, well, Philly, what was it say? Okay, so Philly's going to get like a 2028 unprotected first-round pick, second-round picks in 24 and 29 pick swap, because the NBA loves pick swaps and second-round picks now. Protected 26 first-round pick, okay, from the Oklahoma City Thunder. So apparently the Thunder are the third team. So looking at all that, like I said, the Clippers get James Harden. Who do you think wins this trade?
Oh, I feel like they both win in all reality. The Philadelphia 76ers, they win addition by subtraction. They needed to get James Harden out of there. It didn't matter at this point what they got. It didn't matter what they got, but more importantly, let's take the ball and put it in the hands of Maxey and get the distraction out of the locker room. And they managed to get a couple quality rotation pieces. Marcus Morris can still go. Nick Batum's a great floor spacing forward. I don't know if Rocco has anything left in the tank, but I just think the big win for them is Harden's gone. Now they have that distraction out of there, and now they can really focus on their season. And in return with the Clippers, I think this group now has a really high ceiling, but this is also something that could go disastrously wrong at the same time. Like, they only gave up two actual rotation pieces because Rocco was out of the lineup. Martin wasn't doing anything. But adding a guy the caliber of Harden, it's a risk. But I think it was definitely a risk willing to take with PG and Kawhi entering free agency. You had to do something to try to push this team over the hump. Why not get the guy that's been averaging 20 and 10 the past couple of years? So I think this is a kind of a risk for both teams. And I think long-term the Sixers win, but I think the Clippers got better in the short term.
I mean, I feel like that's probably the way we should look at this trade. I mean, I kind of think the Sixers win long-term because, I mean, short-term even, because now this means there's a clear elevation in the hierarchy for Tyrese Maxey. And I feel like for the Sixers, that's a win right now. If they went into this season with Maxey having to play third fiddle to Embiid and Harden, I feel like it would have been another wasted year for Maxey. Because we're seeing a guy who's become a legit scorer. even though at times he kind of plays a little bit too fast for his own good, and you'll see him like miss a layup at the rim because he's going like 1,000 miles an hour. But I'll always say with like a young player, a team is fine with having to try to slow down a guy as opposed to trying to speed him up. So I think because of Maxi's energy, he's going to do a lot more good than necessary negatives. Like he said, yes, Maxi's balling. So I think now with Harden completely out of the picture, Maxi doesn't have to worry about that anymore. So I think short term, that's actually a win for Philly. For the Clippers, where I'm a little bit worried is, okay, you have PG, you have Kawhi. We all know that when they're on the court, they're great. It's just a matter of how often we're going to see that. How does Russell Westbrook now fit? I mean, are you going to run a lineup out there with like Westbrook, Harden, PG, Kawhi, and a big? And if you do, Westbrook kind of, I feel like Westbrook would fall into the same issues he had with the Lakers, where he's out there with guys that don't necessarily fit what he wants to do offensively. So Keith said he'll come off the bench, which I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. But I thought that was a bit of an issue with the Lakers when he first had to do it. He didn't really want that. Like, hopefully the Clippers are sure that he's fine doing that again. But I'm looking at this like, does this make the Clippers legit contenders now? Are they the second best team in the West? Are they the third best? Or is it just, are they still like a 4-5 seed and you're just hoping that the matchups shake out a certain way for them to get through? That's what I'm kind of worried about with the Clippers. I don't know if this necessarily pushes them closer to a title.
I think it like pushes them slightly. It does with the Clippers. Nothing really matters. All that matters is the health of Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. Kawhi Leonard is the key that unlocks their title contention window. We saw it last year, 2 games against Phoenix, and he was handing them like 30, 35 a night while clamping up Kevin Durant and making him really work. So if they're fully healthy, I think on paper that's a really interesting lineup because they have bigs like Plumlee. They have Zubac. They can play big. They also have the personnel to play small and just all different kinds of play styles. Do I think they're title contenders? No. I still think Nuggets blow them out of the water in a 7-game series. So if they stay healthy, though, if Kawhi's healthy, I think it's interesting, though. With Philly, they're going to go as far as Joel Embiid can carry them, and I don't see that getting past the second round unless he starts cutting down on some turnovers in the playoffs and makes better reads with the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with the Sixers, it's also, will they play faster now without Harden? And if they do, how does that work with Embiid? Because I know a lot of us look at the Harden part of it with the Sixers was like Harden would slow the ball down. I think Embiid was kind of a big factor in that as well. Because it's all, people always question Embiid's, his body and his conditioning. He's a big man. And we know Maxey and Tobias Harris flourish in an up and down style. So is Embiid going to be fine maybe stepping back a little bit to allow those guys to eat? Or will that become a bit of a clash at some points this season?
I think that we're just going to have to accept that Maxey and them play a completely different style than Embiid. Because Embiid, he plays slow. I think in a fast break situation, like on a more fast team, he can do okay. I think his best role, if they try to run the floor, he's going to be taking a lot of threes because he's going to be behind the action. So I think he'll get a lot of open threes, like at the top of the wing.
Okay.
But I think they can make it work. I think they can still make it work. It's just, to me, with Embiid, it just comes down to he doesn't process and read the floor well. So that's my question. That's always been my question with Embiid, talking about his game, not injuries or anything. It's not can he run, because I think he can play in that style just fine. But the issue is when he posts up, he gets tunnel vision. And then when they finally, if he does see an open man, the pass isn't accurate. So think he just really needs to work on that. He's got to work on playmaking and just mapping out the court better.
All right. Well, I know John said something a little earlier where he said he thinks PJ Tucker is of more value than Harden. I think that's an interesting point because look, Tucker's not going to give you a lot of offensively. We know that. But I guess now for the Clippers, those nights where maybe you have to scale back Kawhi, at least now you have another defender. Not saying PJ Tucker's on Kawhi's level, but PJ Tucker can still defend. He is a physical defender. Of course, some nights that gets him into trouble in terms of fouls, but at least he's another body to throw at wings along with PG and Kawhi.
Yeah, I think that's going to be actually a fun forward group to watch if you're a fan of defense. Like running into a trio when they go small of PG, Kawhi, and Tucker, that's going to be ridiculously hard to score on.
He said Westbrook will play defense. Yeah. I mean, Westbrook's another one. When he's disciplined, he's a good defender. And then at times he kind of has some silly fouls that takes him out of the game a little bit. But look, the saga's over. Harden's been moved. I'm sure Key and other Sixers fans are happy for that. For the Clippers, hopefully you're getting what you think you're getting in Harden. I guess he might be eligible to play tomorrow. Don't they play the Lakers tomorrow? Which, I mean, that'd be interesting to see Harden's first game with the Clippers be against the Lakers. I mean, you think he plays tomorrow?
I think so. I think he'll be just fine to play tomorrow. I think the excuse the 76ers used of he's not in basketball shape was just a way to park him on the bench. So I think he's in shape, and I think he'll play tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I think he probably will. And, of course, that's going to bring a lot more storylines to that matchup. Both LA teams battle of LA. I think interestingly, the Clippers get their new arena next season, I think. So, hey, if it works out this year, maybe they bring this team back and they christen the new court next year. He says non-fat suit. Yeah, I mean, trust me, the fat suit's gone. He's happy now. Although, we said the same thing with Harden in Brooklyn. When he got traded to Brooklyn, we all thought, hey, he's where he wants to be. And that didn't work out. So that's another worry that the Clippers probably have. If he joins them, it doesn't, work out to the vision that he had. Will he get frustrated and kind of put the Clippers in the same situation the Sixers were in? Although if he tries that, I don't know how many other places he could really go at this point.
Yeah, I think he's out of. I think he's out of teams here at this point. If he tries to force his way out of the Clippers, I don't think any team's going to trust him to pick him up again. So he has to make this work. Otherwise, he's probably out of the league.
I mean, Freddie will take over the Lakers. They'll take everybody. Oh, that'd be hilarious. LeBron, Harden. Yeah, I'm sure that will work well. He said the NBA is still investigating the Sixers. I mean, I get it. I guess that's the whole because if Harden had just stayed away from the plane incident, the NBA probably wouldn't even care. But the fact that Harden showed up like he was ready to play and the Sixers sent him home, I guess that's a thing to investigate. I don't know. If I'm the Sixers, I'm like, are you just going to fine us? Just go ahead. We'll pay it. It's all good. He's gone now. We're not worried about that. But yeah, so looking at, I guess, other news in the NBA outside the investigation in the Harden trade, the in-season tournament starts on Friday. And if you've been looking around on social media, you've seen that the NBA has created custom courts for the in-season tournament. Obviously, since it's like interwoven within the regular season, if you turn onto a game, you may not know you're watching an in-season tournament, even though I think the graphic will probably say in-season group play or whatever. I think it's a little cool. I know Keith says it's dumb. I've said before, I'm a fan of the in-season tournament. Other leagues have in-season tournaments. It's not that big of a deal. doesn't add any games, so who really cares? Worst case scenario is young teams take it seriously, veteran teams don't. Fine, I don't care. If you're going to tell me like the Pistons win the in-season tournament, I'd watch. You get to see more Cade Cunningham. You see Jaden Ivey. Maybe more of the country gets to see guys like that. I feel like the NBA can't lose in this. If veteran teams take it seriously and you see like the Lakers or Celtics win the in-season tournament, that kind of makes it legit in sports fans' eyes that teams like that are winning the in-season tournament as well. Then you can start talking about, will a possible team win the in-season tournament and the NBA title in the same year? Now you're in rarefied air. But what do you think about the custom courts? Do you think they should do like custom jerseys as well? Do you think the NBA should just go all in with it?
I think they should just go all in with it. Listen, I love the in-season tournament. People always say the regular season doesn't matter. Regular season doesn't matter. Nobody cares about the regular season. All they care about is the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Here's the NBA trying to make the regular season special. They're trying to make you watch or make you actually really want to tune in. So I appreciate the effort. I'm one of those guys that I love the regular season regardless. I think it's important regardless, but kudos to the NBA for trying to take those guys who do say, hey, regular season doesn't matter, and beef up the regular season to make it feel more important. So I'm all for it. I think they should go all in. Give me custom courts, custom jerseys. Give me it all.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I agree. Just make it as special as the league clearly try to make it. I mean, if you put out custom jerseys for it, people will buy them. Why not? I think the court designs are might take some getting used to, but I'm fine with it. If that's what kind of differentiates it from just a regular game. Yeah, I agree with the NBA kind of making it seem like the in-season tournament matters. It's a big deal. Because if they just announced it and then treated it like it was just regular, then maybe some fans would be turned off. But now people might tune in and be like, I got to see what the court looks like during the broadcast. Will they have any special graphics during the broadcast? People might tune in just because of that. So I think it's a big W for the league. I'm trying to think if there's anything else with the NBA. I mean, I guess I'll ask, has anything, I guess, made an impression on you so far early on in the season? What's caught your eye about the NBA season so far?
What's caught my eye so far? Jalen Duren.
Okay.
Love the way that young kid's playing. Detroit's been playing with a lot of energy. Jalen Duren was a kid before the season started. I told myself I'd keep an eye on because I think he could be special. And he's been bringing it. He's averaging 18 and 16 through these first couple games. So he plays with a lot of energy. He plays with a lot of heart, hustle. So just Detroit as a whole, they've been impressing me so far. Same with Orlando. They're just as good as advertising. Guys like Cole Anthony are much farther along than I anticipated. So those are definitely some teams that have impressed me so far.
Yeah, I caught the Lakers Magic game last night. I thought the Magic showed well. At the end of the game, the execution wasn't necessarily there. But I'm fine with that because they're still developing. But the fact that they went to LA and hung in with them, had an opportunity at the buzzer with Jalen Suggs 3 to tie it up, I feel like it's a moral victory. A lot of times we don't like to talk moral victories, but I think for teams like Detroit, Orlando, Houston, I think it matters to them. So I agree with you. I'm intrigued by what Orlando has going on right now. Let's see. John has a question. We can talk about this. Who won NBA trade so far this year? He says Portland by getting Brogdon, Holiday, Tumani, Kamara, Robert Williams, 24 first-round pick, 28 first-round pick, 29 2 first picks, and 2030 first pick. So he thinks Portland's won so far. Would you agree?
Yeah, in terms of future assets, I'd say absolutely. Portland made out by bandits by trading Dame and Holiday, so I do agree. I do think Portland was probably the winner of the trade deadline this year, that just trade so far. And definitely Boston also went very well, bringing in Porzingis and Holiday. So, but yeah, I honestly agree with him. I'd have to say Portland for if we're talking distant impact, but short term, yeah, it's either Boston or Milwaukee that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Portland definitely did well for themselves. I feel like the standoff between them, Lillard, if you look at it now, you would say Portland came out pretty well. If they made the deal with Miami, who knows what they get? It obviously would have been centered around Hero, but at least with Miami, you're looking at that and you're just like, you don't know if the assets are necessarily there. And from them making multiple trades, I think they got a great return. So I agree with John. Portland definitely did well for themselves. Um, I mean, one team, we could talk about this as well. Memphis, starting out 0-4. This was the worry with the 25-game suspension of Ja Morant. Could the team stay afloat until he came back? Right now, it's a struggle. Defensively, they're not the same team. I'm looking at it here. They're plus minus. They're -8 scoring wise. I mean, that's a pretty big deficit there. How worried should the Grizzlies be right now?
I don't think there's any cause for concern yet, obviously, because it's still early enough. But in all reality, looking at the roster construction, they should just be concerned regardless. See, I wasn't concerned about them even no matter if they could be 4-0 right now, and I'd still have the same concerns as they're 0-4.
Mm-hmm.
Even if Ja Morant's back, I still think this is a team that just isn't going to have enough size. Jaren Jackson can't be playing center. You're just going to get out rebounded into oblivion. And of course, like at times, I like Desmond Bain, and I do like Jaren Jackson shooting, but it's also a team that's kind of streaky from outside. They go cold rather easily, so I do think that there are concerns with this team, but I don't think it has anything to do with 0-4. I just think you take one look at this roster and realize, all right, this is kind of flawed, and they need to make some moves to sprucing it up.
John says Grizzlies need more than just Bain scoring. Very true. Like you said, Brett, I think Brett, you and I feel the same way about Jaren Jackson. There's some parts of his game that just don't like. And I get it. He was in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation last year. But in terms of interior defending, I feel like he's a bit of a finesse guy and can kind of get bullied a little bit. And sometimes offensively, he hangs around the perimeter too much. He's got kind of the cat syndrome in him. And Bain, look, I get it. Bain was probably their most productive guy last season during their playoff run. But yeah, he can't be your only legit threat offensively because some nights he may be putting so much pressure on himself to score that he could knock himself out of some rhythm. Seen it. I've seen a couple of games where he struggled to shoot from the field. I mean, I wouldn't be worried necessarily of that, but yeah, they're gonna have to find ways to score, whether it's getting easy buckets or something. They just got to figure it out and try to hang on for the 25 games until Ja Morant comes back. Person that kind of just fell off is Marcus Smart. Look, John, I'll tell you this. Boston fans went nuts when they traded Marcus Smart. A lot of NBA media went crazy when the Celtics traded Marcus Smart because they kept saying he was the heart of the team and everything like that. And I get it. Marcus Smart, he gives you everything he can defensively. He still has issues offensively, whatever. But it is what it is. He's probably going to take some time to get acclimated to Memphis. I think he'll be fine by season's end. But you're going to have to kind of live with the ups and downs with him. Smart still being a defensive player, but it seems like he needs to be more active. That's what I'm saying. If you get Marcus Smart out in transition, he'll definitely be more productive for Memphis. Which you could say the same for Bain, Jaren Jackson. Just get easy buckets. I think that's a change they need to make.
Yeah, they're not really aggressive on defense. They don't force a lot of turnovers, so they definitely need to work on that because this offense is just not it right now.
Yeah. John says, "You think Levine will be the next big player moved?"
That,
Isn't that like a yearly question at this point?
that's something that should have happened like 2 years ago.
Right.
The the Bulls are like if you gave each player like a super soldier serum, but instead of like the serum, it's just like distilled 500 record and a play and exit.
Mm-hmm.
Like this team is just not good. Like it took Zach LaVine dropping 51 just to lose by 16 to Detroit.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
not a good basketball team, and they should have blown it up at last year at the deadline and the year before that.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are. So yes, I do think they need to move Zach LaVine. They need to move DeRozan as soon as December 16th hit. Let's start searching for a trade partner for Vooch. Trade the $200 million man, Patrick Williams. Just
Mm-hmm.
tear it all down, restart, get some draft picks, give it another shot. Because right now, this ain't it.
I mean, I heard today an interesting take on Levine and DeRozan. It might have been Brian Scalabrine, but he said if he were Philly, he thinks that they should put something together to get Levine or DeRozan out of Chicago. When he first said it, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I guess I could see why Philly would want to do that. But then I was just like, is Chicago really even entertaining it? I feel like Chicago thinks that Lonzo Ball is going to heal up. He's going to walk through the door, and they're going to all of a sudden turn to a top 4 seed. That's how I feel like they've been operating the last couple of years. I don't know why, but that just seems to be what they're looking at. You know, he's probably not going to play this year. And I feel like Chicago's telling themselves, oh, we'll just have another tough year, but Lonzo will be back next year, and then everybody will see. And it's just like, no, you're falling further and further behind. Best case scenario, they're 9th best in the East. That's best case scenario. And that's overlooking teams like Orlando and Detroit, who have brighter futures and probably have a better constructed roster than Chicago does right now.
Oh, I think if Orlando and the Bulls met in a play-in game, Orlando would dog walk him by like 15. I don't even think it'd be close. And like, listen, please just do not pair DeMar DeRozan and Joel Embiid together, because if you like ball movement,
forget
sure
about
you
it.
never watch a Philly game, because Joel Embiid and DeMar, they'll make tough shots. You know, they'll still score the ball,
Mm-hmm.
but for the love of everything, it will be the slowest pace offense that you'll ever seen with absolutely zero passing. So I think if they would target somebody, definitely Levine, because he's shown at least he's a willing passer, unlike DeMar.
Yeah.
At times. Levine's a willing passer at times in the right situations.
Yeah. Mo, what's up, Mo? Mo says DeRozan actually would be a good fit for the Lakers. I mean, yeah, I guess. Question. All right, so Mo, I know that you're a Lakers fan. What would you be willing to give up for a DeRozan? I think that's going to be the important question here. I mean, let's say Chicago gets bold and is like, we want Austin Rivers. Would you do that?
I mean, after the 16th, you can start throwing D'Angelo Russell in trade packages. I mean, I wouldn't be devastated if I were the Lakers if I lost D'Lo. Like,
yeah, I feel like Lakers fans, yeah.
The issue with D'Lo is he'll look fine during the regular season, but then he just falls off a cliff during the playoffs. So, at least with DeMar, he's the same player in the regular season as in the playoffs, so you know what you're getting.
Anthony says, sounds like every old player is a good fit for the Lakers. Yeah. Although, hey, Malcolm Brogdon signed with Clutch Sports, so expect to see him with the Lakers probably at the trade deadline or next season. So the Lakers have that coming.
Him and Anthony Davis will be nice buddy on the injured reserve list.
Hey. They'll have the greatest oft-injured team of all time. Plus another year another year older LeBron. I'm sure he'll love seeing those two in the street clothes. DeMar as a third option is a much better fit.
I do like DeMar on the Lakers. DeMar needs somebody that can, protect the rim behind him
Mm-hmm.
to really help him out. And Anthony Davis is very much so that guy and mobile enough. And LeBron gives you a lot of value as a weak side rim protector, as opposed to the Bulls where Vooch doesn't play defense, nor Levine, nor like Patrick Williams half the time. So I do agree with Mo. I do think the Lakers are actually a very good fit for him if he goes somewhere else.
So John said D'Lo and Reeves for him.
Ooh. I'd have to look at the rest of their salary. I'm not sure if I'd be willing to move Austin Reeves for him.
Hey, John's throwing it out there. I mean, look, that might hurt some Lakers fans because there's Laker fans who think Austin Reeves is the next it guy. So if you moved him for DeRozan, I mean, DeRozan's what, like 36 now?
He's like 34, I think.
Really?
I think so. I think my issue with just moving Reeves is he's the perfect glue guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that can be on the team. He can operate off the ball, catch and shoot, doesn't demand attention, plays defense. Like, he's the perfect guy you want on your team to be like a connecting piece. So that's almost why I would not want to move him.
Some said, if you're on the LeBron timeline, it's all about right now. So, yes, we all know the LeBron timeline. LeBron doesn't have time for these young kids. He's about give me veterans who can play now and will make it work. Now, I guess I'm on another team. Maybe some Laker fans might not want to hear this name. The Golden State Warriors are looking pretty good right now. We know how much LeBron and Steph, their fan bases like to go at each other. But looking at Golden State, it seems like, Chris Paul saying all the right things. He's fine being a bench player. What's up, Jory? As well as Mo, John, Key, Anthony, all you guys are in here. Appreciate it. I mean, Jory's got great timing. We just talked about the Lakers. Actually, I'll say, Jory, as a Lakers fan, would you be okay with DeRozan for D'Lo and Reeves, since John threw that out there? While you type that, we'll talk about the Warriors here quickly. Looks like Chris Paul's going to be a bench guy. It seems like he's fine with that. Steph Curry played him back-to-back nights, which apparently Jimmy Butler is too good for. 3 games into the season, and Butler had to sit out. Frustrating, but whatever. What do you think about the Warriors so far?
I think they look good. I like how the Warriors are doing. They have a great team, and I think bringing in Chris Paul really gives them consistency and solidifies that bench. I think that was kind of an issue last year with Jordan Poole. He was just really inconsistent. You never knew what you're going to get any given night. You don't have that issue with Chris Paul. He's going to come in, take care of the basketball. He's going to hit anybody that's open, and he's going to pop some middies for you. So I love it. I like what the Warriors did. Like I said, my concern with the Warriors obviously will be, can Chris Paul stay healthy enough and down the road to actually help them in the playoffs? But fully healthy as constructed, I like it. I love the Chris Paul fit. It's working out well.
I mean, look, I'm a guy who can hate on CP3 when needed, but I can't lie. There's something about seeing him with Steph Curry I like. But like you said, as we get later in the year, how will he hold up? Now, if he embraces the bench role, I do think that helps him. And even last night, I believe Klay didn't play, and they still kept Chris Paul on the bench. So if Steve Kerr legitimately sticks with it, I think he'll be okay. John did ask, only thing is, do the Lakers have any picks before 2030? That's actually a pretty good question. Although in the NBA, as long as you have second-round picks and you want to do some pick swaps, teams are okay with it.
Although picks past 2030 with the Lakers actually are probably going to be super valuable potentially, because LeBron will be gone, AD will be like in his 30s, so I'd be all over that if the Lakers are offering me that.
Yeah. Most I thought CP3 would fit well, and he has so far. So Jory said, so her first one was they can take D'Lo on a pack of chips and a pick or two, not Reeves. And then she backed it up with whatever picks they do have, they can take that. See, Jory's like, hey, who cares about the future? We just want DeRozan now. Whatever pick you call for, take it all. We're not worried about that. Which, once again, to Mo's point, that's kind of the LeBron timeline anyway. You burn that candle out with LeBron, then when he leaves, you pick up the pieces, become somewhat irrelevant for a couple of years, and then try to build back up. Hopefully that's where Reeves and guys like that kind of come in and kind of carry over. Jory said within reason. Yes. Yes, of course. You don't want to give up every pick. Let's see. Oh, actually, speaking of Jordan Poole, hold on. Anthony said a pack of chips. What kind will depend on it. There you go, Jordan. What kind of chips? But speaking of Jordan Poole, look, I saw him front and center with the Wizards last night playing the Celtics. Jordan Poole, what can you say about him? Because once again, I heard Brian Scalabrine as well, since he has the access before the game. He said basically Jordan Poole goes out there before games and thinks he's Steph Curry. He tries all the same stuff, which I kind of think was part of the issues in Golden State, was that you already had Steph Curry. You didn't need Jordan Poole trying to be Steph Curry. But I think last night Jordan Poole took like 11 shots, didn't make a lot of them. The Wizards got blown out. But, I mean, look, the Wizards, if your team's playing the Wizards, you should watch the game because I guarantee you you'll probably get some Nick Young swaggy P moments with Jordan Poole because he's already tried that. He shot a three in the corner, tried the Steph Curry turnaround, bricked the three. Very much like Swaggy P used to do. So look, if you can watch a Wizards game, trust me, you'll find some entertainment somewhere. They may get blown out a lot, but you'll be entertained.
I think my three favorite moments for that game was Jordan Poole trying to post up Drew Holiday. That was just an all-time classic. And then whatever he was trying to do with Porzingis, that his shot ended up getting blocked. This dude got paid, got his drink, so he's just like, all right, I'm playing my career on rookie mode now.
Yeah.
He's just doing whatever. He's just having fun. And to an extent, it's a lot of fun to watch, honestly. I'm here for it.
Because Washington doesn't care. If Poole has fun, they lose like 60 games, at least they're getting a high draft pick. So it's win-win. If Poole somehow balls out, they're like a play-in team, then they look at it and go, hey, this Jordan Poole guy going forward, we have something here. So if I'm him, why not? Just go out there. What's the coach going to do? Get mad at me? Okay. I'm still collecting the check, so what's the problem with it? Mo said Jordan Poole will be Beal light. He'll put up numbers, but wins won't come with those numbers.
So,
very true.
With Jordan Poole, I've been kind of saying this even during the Warriors' last championship run. He's a six-man. He's a microwave scorer in the same vein of like your Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams. He's not a starting point guard. He's too inconsistent for that. However, he can flip the game, turn the game's momentum if he gets hot with some microwave scoring, but he can also shoot you out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end of the day, after this contract's up, after they're done paying him big money, if he wants to stick around in the league, he's going to have to accept that his role going forward, and I think it's a perfect fit for him, is this microwave scorer off the bench. He's going to be a six-man.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I feel like Jordan Poole is going to be that guy, like you said. If he's on a bad team, he's going to put up meaningless stats. If he's on a championship team, he's, like you said, a Jordan Crawford type that if you bring him off the bench, he can give you little 5-minute spurts. If he's on, fine. If not, at least you're not playing him too long. You can, yank him, put a starter back in, then put him back in. Hopefully he finds it. But, look, like I said, if you can watch a Wizards game, trust me, it is entertaining. Because, like you said, Poole is just trying everything right now. I give it a week. He may try a skyhook from 3, see if it goes in. I don't know what goes on in Jordan Poole's mind, but when they tip off, he just is unpredictable, and I'm here for it. As Mo said, spot on. Brett, and then Anthony. Hold on, where's Beal? I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Phoenix Suns.
Yeah,
He hasn't played yet. He's
Yeah, he
too
hasn't
busy
played
load managing, but
I mean, that's just the crazy thing. Although I think some people were saying maybe teams are holding some players out for the in-season tournament. I mean, the in-season tournament starts Friday. Most teams have played 4, maybe 5 games. Why do we need load managing this early in the season? And it's one of the more infuriating things because, like, some fans think, oh, it's just players taking care of their body. The NBA has been around forever. We saw guys like Larry Bird, who had a terrible back, play 82 games a season. If he could manage the grind of the season, why can't athletes today with better medicine, better knowledge of the body, how come they can't? That's something I just don't understand. And some of these analysts act like by questioning that, you don't know what you're talking about.
I think what drives me up a wall with that too is people will go, "Oh well, it all started with Coach Pop when he started doing it." Yeah, because he was playing like 39-year-old Tim Duncan and 37-year-old Tony Parker. Those guys were old.
Yeah.
We have these guys in their like mid-20s to like early 30s already load managing. And maybe part of the issue is they aren't practicing as hard. They're not staying in. Obviously, they're all in phenomenal shape, but maybe they're not staying in game shape just as much as the guys in the past do. Because the guys used to almost feel like every game was serious. They try to play all 82. They're practicing as hard as they play.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just almost in. I'm not going to say better shape, but maybe they were just in better game shape overall.
Yeah, and I mean, look, players travel. They're traveling, private jets and all that now. Like back in the day, you had guys riding coach, holding their own bag, trying to get to a game, and it's like what are we doing out here? Teams are like rarely practicing anymore. I think I heard that Ty Lue made a change to the Clippers that they're practicing more between games. Go figure, we're practicing now. That's making headlines now. I don't know. I don't understand it. That's why I'm hoping guys like Tatum, Anthony Edwards, I'm hoping that mentality starts seeping into more young players and maybe it switches back in a couple of years. Because the load management stuff, like, missed me with that. Like, if you're Kawhi Leonard, I get it. He's got terrible knees. Not a secret. He's had bad knees since he was at San Diego State. If he needs games, I get it. Even LeBron's pushing 40. If he needs a game or two off, I can understand. But Jimmy Butler, the third game of the year, taking a night off, I would lose it. But I guess that's Heat culture, so we're supposed to accept it. But, yeah, it is what it is.
I mean, to be fair, Jimmy Butler's had like 2 terms over Tom Thibodeau. His body priority feels like it's 40 after going through Tibbs twice.
Hey, if he could show a media day with that emo haircut and troll everybody, and now we have to see that graphic all year just for you to not rock it all season, you play. You don't get to load manage. No. Anytime they show that graphic, you better be in the game. Oh, boy. The NBA. John said because they don't take it as seriously when they get millions on millions. Jory said, I wish I could load manage at my job. Hey, Jory, look, I guess beat Patrick Williams, ask for $200 million, then they'll let you load manage.
Or maybe just put on the fat suit, and maybe they'll keep you away for a couple of days.
Load management rule was created for the Lakers. Sounds like a conspiracy theory. As a Celtics fan, I love it. Most said LOL, and then Jory, yeah. I don't know. And the crazy part also is we see NFL players. Yes, it's only 17 games, but as physical as that game is, players basically only really miss games unless they're actually hurt. But then you have NBA where it's not even as physical as it was back in the 80s or 90s. But players today need a night here and there to save their body. Like Jordan's going to the lane, getting clotheslined by Bill Laimbeer. He's getting chop blocked by Dennis Rodman. He could play 82 games a season. But this NBA where if I put a finger on you, you throw your head back, you're on the free throw line. It's too rigorous. All right.
I just get a kick out of that too. It's not even like they load manage. It just happens so often. I think it's just the amount. Because if it was just every once in a while and it was like with older players or whatever. But when we got like them trying to hold out like someone who's like 25 in the peak of their career because they have to miss a game, I'm just like, what?
Imagine if your cable or internet guy load manages, they catch up. Yeah.
I'd pull Sam Presti. I'd trade him for a pick.
George said that smelled like Laker hate. Maybe on my part, there was a little Laker hate in there. But I'm a Celtics fan, as expected. Let's see if there's anything else with the NBA we need to touch on before moving on. All right, Brett, there's anything NBA-wise you want to talk about?
No, off the top of my head, I think we nailed it all, honestly.
All right. Well, we'll switch to the NFL, but first we'll do a little message here from the network.
What's up, everybody? It's Control Simpson with Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, where we're going to cover all things breaking news, sports related. We're going to preview games, and we're also going to give you our reaction to games that have happened before. You can catch us on Wednesdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And if you miss us there, no worries. You can also catch us on Roku with Northeast Streaming Sports Productions from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Hey, and listen, if you're not into all sports and just NFL, we have Sideline to Sideline. That's on Thursday nights from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 8 p.m. We'll break down the NFL week, the Thursday night game, and we'll preview all NFL action.
And if you're like me and college football is your fix, tune in every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Coast to Coast College Football pregame show. We'll review the previous week's action, the day's biggest games. We'll give you our pick'ems, and we'll even give you some teams that are on upset alert.
And if you don't catch us live, you can download us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your podcast. We do also have a YouTube station, Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
I mean, come on now. Look at the production value you're getting. You're getting ads now. I'm over here playing big time production.
Right.
Hey, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Oh, hold on. John Sugg says thoughts on the Orlando Magic so far.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Go ahead.
Last week, I was on here and I was pushing my Orlando Magic propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
I said this team's going to be really good. They're really well constructed. They're going to be a play-in team. I love that you bring up Orlando. I think that you have a really good team for the foreseeable future. They have one of the best front courts in basketball. These young guards are developing much better than I thought this would. Suggs and Anthony look really good. Fultz has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Orlando Magic team next year, they're going to skip the play-in, and they're just going to be one of the top 6 teams in the NBA with another development from Banchero, Wagner, Carter. They're just going to be a perennial play-in team after this year.
Okay. Hey, there you go, John. Brett's all in on the Magic. I like the Magic. I'm happy to see Fultz finally being productive. I felt so bad for him when he was at Philly. He was a guy at Washington that seemed like a can't miss prospect. He kind of had some issues in his game, but he just looked like, I think a lot of people were hoping for like a Derrick Rose light. Then he gets into the league. All of a sudden his shot's broken. And look, we've seen some players, once their game slips like that, never recover. He's battled back, and look, he's playing a role in Orlando. I do think that team is perfect for him. It's a young group, not a lot of expectations, and they're just out there balling. A lot of people were showing the video of Jalen Suggs emotional after the missed 3. I love it because it's a team that's wanting to win now. They're not okay losing anymore. They feel like they can make some noise today, this season, and I think they can. Banchero, love him. Wendell Carter, I've grown to like his game a lot more, and I think with those two, they can do some things in the East. Maybe they're not Milwaukee, they're not Boston. I mean, after that, like you said, next year when you're talking about teams like Cleveland, Indy, Knicks, why can't Orlando find their way into that group? So, look, after all those years with Orlando seemingly having no direction, it seems like they're finally on their way back, and I'm not mad at them. Let's see. Anthony says, New Orleans are my sleeper team to make noise. I don't know if we can necessarily call New Orleans a sleeper team. A couple of years ago, they were like, second and third in the West until some injuries. Everybody knows the talent in New Orleans. It's just how many games will Zion play?
They'll go as far as Zion can take them.
Yeah. Maybe Zion's laying off the beignets a little bit. Getting a personal chef. Tossing a salad every once in a while. Don't have to eat crazy. I know New Orleans food's good, but you're an NBA pro. All right. John said, I think the Pacers might be a sleeper. Once again, I don't know if the Pacers can really be sleepers anymore. Halliburton is seen as one of the best young players in the league. A lot of people love Mathurin. They just got Bruce Brown. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd count the Pacers as a sleeper either. Like Orlando, yes, that's a sleeper team. The Pacers and Pelicans, I don't count them that anymore.
So I got an NFL overreaction for you since I loved overreacting a little bit.
Yep, I mean that's a perfect segue because that's how we'll start our NFL talk. Week 8 in the books. Let's overreact. So Brett, go ahead.
I got your first overreaction. Will Levis, top 10 quarterback in the league.
I mean, look, we saw Tannehill, we saw Willis. Levis looked like a guy who might know what he's doing. I mean, some of the coverage from the Falcons in that game was appalling, but he still put the ball in the area for DeAndre Hopkins to make a play. That one down the sideline with A.J. Terrell, I don't know what A.J. Terrell was doing. It seemed like he was trying to goat them into an offensive pass interference instead of actually playing the ball. But other than that, yeah, I thought Levis, for his first showing, I'd give him an A.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really impressed by him. He's on the right. Let's say see somewhere. See how he looks the rest of the year. Can't overreact to one game.
Mm-hmm.
But he shows he has all the tools to be successful. I think he showed a lot of promise in that first game. I'm gonna be watching the Titans next week. I think they play next week. I don't think they're on a bye yet, but I'll definitely be watching Levis next time he's on TV.
Jory said we will see it again Thursday.
Thursday? Oh, they're the Thursday night game.
Perfect. Everybody will get to see Levis on prime time. Okay, I'm here for it. My overreaction. Why did I do my boy Kirk Cousins like this? Playing well, team's starting to win, and there goes the Achilles. I feel bad, man. Like, I want to see a moment. I was hoping they're going to win some games. Maybe we get another you like that. And we'd have, memes for days with Kirk Cousins. And now he's out. I hate it. George said we just had our bye. Okay. That's right. I remember that. Okay. But yeah, I feel bad for Kirk Cousins. I really thought Minnesota's turning around. They did make a trade for a quarterback, which I guess we'll get into when we talk about the trade deadline, because Jory did ask about talking about her Titans running back and all the rumors. So we'll save that for later. But you have another overreaction, Brett.
Ooh, man. Are the New York Jets the greatest passing defense of all time, holding the Giants to -9 passing yards?
I mean, well, look. Wait, who's the quarterback at that point with the Giants? I forget who it is.
Tyrod Taylor, then Danny something.
Yeah, whoever.
So you said overreaction, so I'm just trying to phrase it in the most overreacted way possible.
I understand. Most said Cousins just has the worst luck. Yes, I agree.
I think Kirk Cousins is going to give us a great, like, Geno Smith, he wrote me off, but I didn't write back moment, though, next year after he wins his first game on his return. So I'm here for that. I can't wait to see it.
Nice. Let's go. Giants are the worst passing team ever, at least for one game. The fact that they had a chance to win it with -8 yards when they put the graphic up, I was like, that has to be a typo. Not a chance. But it was legit. And then, well, we talked about this yesterday. You know, the fact that Freddie got in the chat, it was like, we got this game, W. And then somehow they miss a chip shot field goal, allow Zach Wilson to drive down the field, tie the game, and then in Giants fashion, lose it in overtime. Might be one of the funniest moments ever. And I just don't know what to make of the Giants anymore. I mean, look, my team is struggling, but I could not see myself as a Giants fan right now. The frustration that I must be going through each and every week, that's like next level.
And we should probably take this time to announce to all other 29 teams that Freddie is most likely a free agent at this point. So whatever fan base wants him, sign him, inbox him, give him your strongest pitch. But Freddie is a free agent because there's no way he's still cheering for the Giants after that one.
He says he is. I'll believe it when I see it in like 2-3 weeks. John says y'all aren't going to mention non-Taylor Swift issues. Kelsey having LOL and lose the Broncos. Hey. I mean, look, the whole Kelsey Taylor Swift thing, I feel like most people are kind of over it at this point. And then now Mahomes' wife is like into it now with the handshaking. I don't need to see it. I don't care anymore about that. But hey, the Broncos did beat the Chiefs. We can talk about that shortly here. Let Russ cook. He's big game hunting, taking down the Chiefs. I mean, look, looking at that game, are you more enthusiastic by what you saw from Denver, or are you more worried about the Chiefs and their performance in that game?
I'm more worried about the Chiefs and their performance that game. I just don't really believe in Denver regardless. Like, I feel their defense has gotten better. Well, I guess when you give up 70 in a game, you can only go up from there. Mm-hmm. I'll give them a lot of credit. They have been playing much better, though. They got rid of some pieces. It looks like they're finally starting to light a fire under these guys. They've been playing much better. So all the credit in the world for Denver.
So you're saying don't get ready for Broncos country let's ride yet?
No, not quite yet. Need to see it for a little longer stretch of time. They played so poorly to start that I need some more evidence to show me that they're back. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they had an off game. They played poorly. That offense has been struggling quite a bit this year. So through 7 weeks, though, it's kind of starting to be a concern. So I'll be interested to see if they got something that they can dial up or find a way to turn that offense around and look more like the Chiefs' offense of the past that we all know and love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, funny enough, like the Broncos did kind of like what I thought the Chargers would do to them. I thought when the Chargers play the Chiefs, we'd probably see like a really good game from Herbert, maybe a bit of a shootout, and the Chiefs just wouldn't have enough. I feel like the Chiefs' offense for most of this season hasn't looked like the Chiefs' offense that we're used to. You know, a lot of people point to lack of wide receivers and everything like that, but it just seems like something's not clicking offensively for Kansas City. They were able to escape LA with the Chargers, but Denver, hey, they made plays. They held Kansas City to 9 points. So, as Mo said, you have to give the Broncos definitely credit for that win. But yeah, I guess we can get back to overreactions because I have an overreaction myself. I'm starting to think that Brock Purdy might be broken. He went from a guy who didn't turn the ball over to now he's throwing interceptions left and right. He's just giving them away at this point. And part of me is wondering, I think the Niners will still be fine because I do think Purdy will probably fix this. And plus, you're not going to play the Bengals every week. Now, I did say that when the Bengals struggled, that the Bengals are still the best team in the AFC North, and I still believe that. I think even though I think they're still currently last in that division, but I would not be shocked at the end of the season that they win that division. Sorry, Ravens fans, you're not allowed to say anything bad about the Ravens, but the Bengals are still better than you. I don't care what the Ravens do. But yeah, I thought it was an opportunity for the Niners to, I guess, exert a little bit of dominance, kind of set their position at the top of the hill, maybe in the NFC, especially after the Cleveland game, for them to bounce back. And it just looks like there's more problems in San Francisco now. Like Mo said, five picks in his last 3 games. It's just not Brock Purdy-esque. So, like I said, my overreaction is Brock Purdy now broken? And are we only weeks away from seeing Sam Darnold enter the game? Is that where we're headed? I don't know. Like, what would you think about Purdy and the Niners going forward?
Man, it felt like his first half of his career, it was almost like a Cinderella story, but now guess what? The clock just struck midnight. Listen, we all knew Brock Purdy had limitations as a passer. The key to winning games for the 49ers on offense, you got to stay ahead, keep the ball on the ground with CMC. Brock Purdy's a very good game manager, but if you expect him to do more than that, that's where you're going to end up in trouble. I think the 49ers will be fine going forward. I just think the key is they got to make sure to get their offense going. They got to make sure they get leads and stay ahead, and don't expect Purdy to be able to carry your offense for long stretches at times. If that's what you're expecting, you get what you got the last 3 games where he starts turning the ball over, trying to do too much. I think they'll be fine, but I also think that if we get into the playoffs and the Niners start finding themselves getting down and Purdy starts feeling pressured to start doing more, then I think they're in trouble. But going forward, I think they'll still be all right.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think maybe the next couple of weeks we'll see maybe Shanahan scale it back a little bit, get more towards a somewhat conservative passing game. Because, like, looking at the stats, the fact that Purdy threw for 365, I don't think that's the method for the Niners to win. I think for Purdy, you want Purdy to be maybe like 200 to 250, big days out of CMC, even Debo on some kind of trickery plays in the backfield. So, yeah, I'm not going to fully hit the panic button on the Niners yet, but it's definitely a troubling trend of Purdy turning the ball over too much. Because we saw this last season with Dak, and a lot of people were questioning, what's going on with Dak. Hopefully Brock doesn't end up like that, where turnovers are now a new thing with him. So John's wondering about the trade deadline, which we can talk about because Jory was asking all the talk around Derrick Henry, and the Titans basically said they weren't trading him. They didn't trade him. So looking at the trade deadline as a whole, as John's asking, who won the trade deadline? It wasn't crazy active, but there were some interesting additions that were made. So who do you think won the trade deadline?
I do like the 49ers getting Chase Young. He'll be put into a situation with a talented line playing, opposite of Nick Bosa. It's a really good guy to take pressure off him. He's going to get plenty of one-on-ones, and I think he'll really thrive there. And I do like the Bears getting Montez Sweat. Don't get me wrong.
I was kind of surprised by that one.
I was surprised by it because you're trading a second rounder, which it's probably going to be the first pick in the second round. So it's going to be a really nice pick, and you have to pay him. So that caught me off guard a bit, but I don't actually hate it. I think that was a fine move by them, depending on how much they have to pay him.
I mean, not gonna lie, with John saying with the Seahawks, getting Leonard Williams or Frank Clark for that defense, I really like it. I think offensively they're kind of set. As long as you get good Geno, maybe the Seahawks are a team that could, if this Purdy and Niners issue continues, the Seahawks could be in a position to maybe overtake them and be a surprise winner in that division. Because Mo also said the defense has been struggling as well. But like I said before, I don't know if I'll necessarily look at them against the Bengals and be like it's an issue, because the Bengals are turning it on offensively, and when they're clicking, they're one of the best offenses in the league. So giving up points to them, I'm not really worried about. But that's going to be definitely a trend to watch.
I think an underrated move from the deadline was the Lions trading for DPS, Peoples Jones there. Their receivers have been struggling. Jameson Williams, working his way back from the suspension. Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds have been playing over him. Not the greatest duo to be running. So I think taking a chance on Jones there was actually a great move by Detroit.
Yeah, Anthony to say Lions won. I agree. Peoples Jones before the season was a guy I said to look out for in Cleveland. I was also expecting a better Watson this year. That's neither here nor there. But at least now, Donovan Peoples-Jones goes to a system where you have Jared Goff, as long as they're playing in Detroit, pretty good. You have Montgomery, Gibbs in the backfield. So I do think Peoples-Jones is in a better situation. And I agree. I think that's going to be an under-the-radar type of move that was made. Jory said, I heard about the Ravens trading for him, and I promise you I would have erupted. Look, to be honest with you, the Ravens are starting to become like the Yankees and the Lakers. Every name, the Ravens are seemingly in on them.
I would have gotten a kick if the Ravens traded for Derrick Henry for the sole purpose of watching like Jordan backtrack on all of his Derrick Henry takes. Would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I probably posted like, "Yo, it's Jordan. So is he still injury prone?"
No, because if he's the Ravens, he'd be like, "Oh, we got the greatest running back of all time." It's like, whatever. Enter Chase Young. Never mind, Seattle getting Williams. That line's going to be good. Yeah. Also a move, because we talked about Kirk Cousins before. So obviously they're going to be in the quarterback market. What do you think about them settling on Josh Dobbs and acquiring him?
That almost feels like waving the white flag, honestly. Like, Josh Dobbs, we all know he's not a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Jettis is out. Like, Jordan Addison's emerging, but without Kirk Cousins to get him the ball, it's at this point, as soon as Cousins went down, this became a lost season for them. So I think it's fine because they didn't have to give up like a pick, like a premium pick. But I almost wouldn't have made that move just to save all my picks. But you know what? I was okay with it because it was a non-premium pick. At least this gives them a better chance of competing than with whoever the backup was.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind it, but the season is over for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. John said Vikings traded Ezra Cleveland, one of the best young guards in the league. See, because I think it brought up on cheap seats, like, what would Minnesota do? And one of the names I was throwing out there from the chat was Teddy Bridgewater. And I thought it would have been perfect for Teddy's career to come full circle, be back in Minnesota. I feel like a move like that, especially with the momentum that the Vikings had, would have made sense. So I think Bridgewater, over the second half of the season, you could do much worse than a guy like that. Then I also thought about Mariota, who at this point, Mariota seems like that guy you kind of just plug in. It's not going to look great, trust me, but at least he'll know what he's doing in the backfield. The fact that you went and got Dobbs, it's like, if you're waving the white flag, maybe they should have traded out some more guys then, if that's the case. Or maybe they think Dobbs is serviceable. Maybe you get a better Matheson and who's the other running back that they have? The guy for Akers. Maybe they turn into a running team, play action, Addison, or maybe that works. If you're a Vikings fan, good luck to you on that. I just don't see it.
The issue with that idea is you need real running backs to do that. Alexander Madison's not a number one, and Cam Akers has been washed since he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
So, this is just not a good football team. Kirk Cousins was their best chance at doing anything. It looked like they had figured it out. and now it's done. It's over. He's not coming back, and it's just time to look forward to next year's draft when they probably draft another wide receiver. It'll be interesting to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm. John said, surprised they didn't ask about Jameis Winston.
I heard rumors that they were talking for Winston, but
see, Winston's an interesting case because I feel like it's almost seemed like the league's kind of given up on him. Even though, hey, he's gotten LASIK surgery and everything, so the vision's good. I thought I guess last year, yeah, when he played before he got hurt, he looked pretty good. So I'm kind of, I don't know. I guess it's kind of weird that he wasn't moved. Anthony also brings up Jacoby Brissett. Price is too high. Washington wanted a high pick for him. I mean, that's madness. But yeah, Brissett's a guy who, if you were able to get him in Minnesota, I feel like he can make plays with his arm as well. So it is just funny to me that Dawes is the guy they settled on, which I guess means for Arizona, the Kyler Murray experience is coming back. It's just simple as that.
Or that one rookie they drafted, like Luke
Clayton Tune, is going to start this week. Maybe they think they got Will Levis, and he's going to come in and just throw it all over the field. Overreact, Julio Jones. I mean, Julio Jones was great 6 years ago.
Say it. Leonard Fournette.
Oh my God, that name! Seeing that name across the bottom ticker is signing somewhere.
I saw people were going crazy, like, oh, we got playoff Lenny. Like, that guy can't even average like 3 yards a carry anymore. He had like one good run at the end with the Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been that great ever since he left Jacksonville. Yep. He's a short yardage and a goal line guy. If you're expecting anything more from Leonard Fournette, you're going to be very disappointed in Leonard Fournette.
See, I think Leonard Fournette's like Jadeveon Clowney. Everybody who gets Clowney thinks we're getting South Carolina Clowney. And Fournette, we're getting LSU Fournette. You're not getting that. He's not Marshawn Lynch. I think a lot of people thought, oh, he's a guy who's going to bowl over people. Nah, he's just not that guy. And funny enough, because when he first started, remember Fournette was the guy who said the NFL's easy because he played in the SEC. Judging by your career, buddy, it hasn't been that easy for you. But yeah, so let's see what else. What other moves were made? I think we kind of talked about all of them.
So I think the only one we haven't talked about was my Packers shipped out Rasul Douglas to Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if Bills fans are listening, what kind of player are they getting in Rasul Douglas?
Rasul Douglas, he's a very physical guy. He's going to press you at the line. He's a playmaker. He's going to get you picks. The issue with Rasul Douglas is he's not very quick, so you can beat him over the top. But he's a great player. He's very respected in the locker room. He's a great locker room presence. Mm-hmm. Apparently, after this past week's loss, he's the guy that got everybody together to talk about what mistakes they made and how they could do better moving forward. So, as a Packer fan, I actually hated that we traded him just because he was such a great guy to have around. Mm-hmm. So Buffalo's getting a good one. So I hope the best for him. It's funny because my roommate, they announced that trade. I got the update to my phone, and my roommate got the update at the same time. And I just start hearing words that I cannot repeat live on air. He was heated.
Okay. So you said Rasul Douglas can be beat because he's not quick. So I guess week 16 or whatever, when my Patriots play them, I'm looking for a big Demario Douglas day. Or maybe Juju goes off. I'm just kidding. Juju going off would be, if that happens, I might have to play the lottery. John says, so you have Jalen Ramsey over Clowney. I'm sure I understand that question. But I would say, in terms of NFL career, yeah, I would take Jalen Ramsey over Clowney, yeah.
I'd say easily.
Yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney, at the end of the day, he's a run stuffer first who can rush the passer. He's an elite run stopper who, if he gets the right matchup, can get you pressure on the quarterback, but that's never really been his strong suit. He's a really elite run stuffer. Great career, but I do think his pass rushing skills are a little overrated.
Yeah, I think might have been a couple of weeks ago, like on sideline to sideline, it might have been where I think we said that about Clowney. The problem is he's been kind of misrepresented with the teams he's been on because people think he's gonna be like Lawrence Taylor or something. He's not that. He's like you said, he's a guy who can set the edge, stop the run, and he'll get occasional sacks, but he's not a big sack guy. Even though I think people thought that's what he was going to be. So John said he agrees. He just heard people say Ramsey is overrated. I mean, I think the last couple of years, a lot of people were saying that Ramsey might have been cooked because he was getting burned on a couple like double routes every like year or something. But that's like every corner goes through that, especially a guy in Ramsey who likes to jump routes and stuff. Sometimes you're gonna get interceptions, and sometimes you're just gonna get beat. It's just the nature of the position.
I think the issue with Ramsey is he's a competitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Rams aren't winning, and I've almost like an NBA comparison where I've seen the same thing happen before. Is Draymond Green? If their Warriors are winning and in really big games, he steps up. But if they're really bad and it's a really unimportant game, he looks terrible. I've almost seen the same a lot of the times out of Jalen Ramsey. In big games, if you're winning, he's motivated and interested.
Mm-hmm.
If your team's doing really bad, you're not winning and you're not competing, he seems a lot more disengaged. So I think the guy's just a competitor. In these past couple of years, he probably wasn't in tip-top shape because he wasn't engaged because the Rams weren't good. He came back, promised a pick six, and he almost got it in that first game back with Miami. So I love Jalen Ramsey. He looked good.
Yeah, that play got me so upset because I knew what Mac Jones was doing. It's just that he didn't look Ramsey off long enough because Bourne was wide open, but Ramsey made a great play on the ball. Let's see. So John says he thinks it was because he had another knee injury. Yeah, that's true. Anthony says he doesn't know what the Raiders are doing with Renfro, free Renfro. Hey, Anthony, nobody knows what the Raiders are doing because the Raiders don't know what they're doing. And then Anthony said the trade deadline was about Washington selling the farm. He thought Denver was going to make some noise, which does lead to an interesting question. What's a team out there that didn't make a move that you feel like missed an opportunity? Do you think it's Denver? Or would you say another team?
I think a couple teams should have traded. There's a couple names I thought really should have gone.
Mm-hmm.
One team, I think the Packers should have moved on from some more guys. Right now, it's clear it's not their year. Matt LaFleur doesn't look like he knows how to game plan at all till the fourth quarter. It's just a lost year. So I think if you're moving on from Douglas, search the market, see what you can get for your other vets, like Devondre Campbell, Aaron Jones. Like there's some vets we could have moved. Some other names that I think that should have been moved. Giants should have called their own Saquon. I don't think they're going to give him another big contract. And you're not winning, so you might as well have moved on from him. And of course, I think the third name that I thought of, Raiders should have just moved on from Devontae. It's clear he's not happy. It's not working. Just, cut your ties, let him go somewhere, get some good picks and move on.
I mean, like I always say, look at Mark Davis' haircut. You can't trust anything that they got going on over there. That man sits there on national TV with that haircut. He don't know what's going on. He thinks he's looking good. Let's see. John said they gave Barkley a new contract today,
I think they just restructured it so he's a free agent at the end of the year. That's what I thought at least. But
I mean, part of that could be in the New York market. If they traded Barkley, Giants fans would have lost their mind. And maybe the Giants ownership wasn't ready for that. I don't know. But John said he would say a few teams would be the Colts and the Bucks. I guess he said should have made moves. I mean, the Bucks aren't in a terrible position, but I could see what you're saying there. The Colts, maybe. I mean, I guess to go back to the Denver part, how did we go another trade deadline and Jerry Jeudy didn't get moved? That guy's name's always in trade conversations, yet once again, he doesn't get moved. I don't know. I feel like Denver could have moved him. I mean, Cortland. It seems like Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy are always at the forefront, I should say, of trade rumors. Yet both of them are still there. At least with Sutton, it seems like he and Russ have a connection. Russ likes throwing at Sutton, so I thought maybe Jeudy was a guy that they would move, but they decided not to. So I guess the last thing I'll ask is: you said that there are a lot of players that you thought should have been moved. So who was the number one guy that you was surprised that didn't get moved?
I think the answer to that really is I want to say I was surprised that Jerry Jeudy wasn't moved. I really just want him to be number one. He is my answer, although I just really don't think the Broncos have a clue what they want at this point. So it surprised me because I think he really just needs to go at this point, and I think he'd do well elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it just doesn't at the same time because it just doesn't seem like the Broncos know what direction they want. And at this point, it's clear that Jerry Jeudy's not a fit in that offense, but they don't seem to understand it, and they're holding on to him, waiting for him to go off, and that's just doesn't seem like that's going to happen in Denver. So I'm going to go with Jeudy.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, Judy's always in trade conversations, yet he's still a Bronco. So John asks a question about the Jets. You really think Dalvin Cook wants out of New York? I'll say this. When it came to the Dalvin Cook signing with the Jets, I didn't understand it at first because you have Breece Hall. Breece Hall, I think, at this point, is a better talent. Yes, Breece Hall is coming off an injury. Dalvin Cook was probably seen as like an insurance policy. But I feel like they could have gone a different way. In terms of Dalvin Cook really wanting out of New York, maybe because he's not the clear-cut number one guy in New York. And I felt like he was going to the Jets because maybe he thought Breece Hall wouldn't have been ready this year or something. He'd have had an opportunity in a system with Aaron Rodgers to put up big numbers, reestablish some market for himself going into next year. And it's not really happening right now in New York. So I do think part of him probably wanted out. Now, where would he go? I have no idea. Probably the best fit for him would have been maybe back in Minnesota, oddly enough. Because like you said, Madison ain't it. Cam Akers, not it. Dalvin Cook knows the system. John says Houston. I mean, they have Dameon Pierce. That's almost the same problem with Breece Hall, even though Pierce is not playing well this year. But yeah, I do think Dalvin Cook probably wanted out of New York. I mean, what do you think, Brett?
I think so. He signed there. I think he expected, all right, I'm going to be the number one. Breece Hall's coming off an Achilles. That's normally running backs don't bounce back well from that. So he probably figured he's starting. Hall will be number two.
Mm-hmm.
And another big factor, I'm playing with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to absolutely unlock this passing game, and I'm going to have wide open running lanes. And absolutely none of that has happened. Like, I get him wanting to go there. I see what he was thinking, honestly. It wasn't a bad call by him. Like, it was a calculated risk. But, he couldn't have foreseen Rodgers going down. Okay, now it's Zach Wilson. Now everybody's crowding the box. Breece Hall looks like he never hurt his Achilles. He looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why he went there, but it has not gone the way that I think he thought it has. So, yeah, I think he probably did want out.
Yeah, look, I get it because Aaron Rodgers was there. So for me, when there's talk about Dalvin Cook going somewhere, the team I thought automatically was Buffalo, because I thought if he went to Buffalo, it would force Buffalo to actually have some running game of substance outside of Josh Allen. But he didn't go there. He decided to go to the Jets. And like I said, I understood it. Aaron Rodgers is there. There's questions about the line, so you could use Dalvin Cook in the screen game and all that. Yeah, but I also thought maybe naively that Breece Hall would come back from it because I really liked what I saw Breece Hall in his rookie year. And I didn't want it to be a situation where Breece Hall comes back, is healthy, but because Dalvin Cook's a bigger name, he's getting the playing time that should go to Breece Hall. That was my reasoning around Dalvin Cook not going to the Jets. But I see what you're saying, because Rodgers was there, it was more appealing to him. So has everyone come back to earth about Jordan Love? I mean, John is gut punching you here with your Packers, but I mean, look, a lot of people are questioning all of a sudden Jordan Love is a starting quarterback. What are your thoughts about him? I feel like we probably talked about this last week, but I mean, you can kind of reiterate it since a new game has been played since then. But like, what do you think about Jordan Love going forward?
I think Jordan Love does have fundamental issues. I think that Jordan Love does tend to miss the easy stuff. But I do think that Jordan Love still has a lot of talent. And I do think that going forward, I wouldn't mind giving him another year or two as the Packers quarterback. Especially since a big thing on this is I think you're going to be able to get him back on a cheap contract. I also think, like, when it comes to Jordan Love, people like to compare him to, they'll be like, oh, well, in Aaron Rodgers' rookie year, he was doing this and that.
Right.
But a big difference is Aaron Rodgers had, like, Donald Driver. He had, like, Jeremiah. He had some sure-handed vets that could help him make these plays. And he's kind of always at least had some sort of veteran talent that could help guide him along to watch him, help him grow and develop into an MVP caliber player. I do think Jordan Love has issues. I'm not absolving Jordan Love completely, but he's playing with a lot of also first and second year guys that even when Jordan Love does finally make a nice play, it gets dropped. Or like he had a nice 30-yard play last game, wiped out by a penalty. And Matt LaFleur and this play calling isn't doing anybody any favor. So do I think that Jordan Love has issues? Yes, but I do think that they're fixable. And I do think that with better coaching, get him a couple of vets to have more sure hands. I think we can get a more accurate picture next year on what Jordan Love is. But this year, yeah, it's been rough sailing.
Now, to John's point, some people say Trey Lance is better. LOL. Compare those two. Look, this crazy Trey Lance love, I don't know where it's coming from necessarily. Because now, when he got traded out of San Francisco, everybody was like, oh, he got a raw deal, whatever. Trey Lance, Trey Lance and Jordan Love, are they similar in certain ways? Maybe. Because I feel like with both of them, they need time. But looking at it too, from the limited time we saw them on the field, I feel like the starting point with Jordan Love was further along than with Trey Lance. Now, ultimately, maybe Trey Lance becomes the better quarterback. I don't know, because part of me also wonders, will he ever get an opportunity to show it? But if you're telling me right now I'm starting a franchise and I have Jordan Love or Trey Lance to pick from, I'm taking Jordan Love probably 9 times out of 10. Because of where they are right now, I do think Jordan Love is the better quarterback. Lance, I don't know. Lance is kind of like an athlete who plays quarterback. Because I've seen him, decision-making wise, not be the best. At times, there's like questions about his arm and everything. I don't know. I would take Jordan Love over Trey Lance. I'm assuming you probably agree with that since Jordan Love is actually your quarterback.
Yeah, there's questions about him throwing the deep ball, and he can throw deep balls, but you just got to get the accuracy down, and that's something I think is absolutely correctable. So I would definitely take Jordan Love over Trey Lance.
Yeah. John said Lance will be a Cardinal in 1 to 2 years. I mean, if that's the case, then he's probably getting the opportunity to start. And then finally, people will see if Trey Lance is actually serviceable or not. I just think the whole thing about him getting a raw deal in San Francisco was a little bit overblown, because technically he was the 2nd or 3rd pick. If he couldn't beat out the 7th rounder in Brock Purdy, I mean, that tells you something. And yes, it's unfortunate that Trey Lance, when he was given the opportunity, got hurt in that game against Chicago. it is what it is. It's the NFL. It happens. San Francisco had to make a decision. I wasn't mad at it. Now we'll see if he gets a chance in Dallas or, like John said, he ends up somewhere else, like with the Cardinals in a year or two. Anthony brought up a good point also a little while back. All the talk about Brian Burns and he's still in Carolina. That was a bit surprising that Burns wasn't moved. But I don't know. I mean, Carolina just got their first win. They're feeling good. Coach just has more trust in Darnold because of experience.
Just sad to think about that Carolina's this bad and they won't even have their first round pick this year.
That's right. Oh, man.
And what's even worse is I can't wait to watch the draft and watch how Chicago finds a way to blow this.
That's also very true.
It's
and
going to be crazy.
That's going to be a part of the coverage. This is where Carolina would have been. And that's interesting.
They could conceivably have like the first and second overall pick. That's wild to think about.
Yeah, and Bears fans would probably be like, draft a quarterback because Fields isn't the guy. And it's like, if I had the first, second pick, trust me, I'm not drafting a quarterback. There's a wide receiver at Ohio State I'd use one of those picks on. Just saying.
I just don't think it matters. With the Bears, I don't think it matters what quarterback you draft. You just got to upgrade the coaching staff because they've already proven they can't develop a quarterback.
Yeah.
But
fans never think that way. They always want a new quarterback. The backup quarterback's always their favorite player. When it's like, yes, Fields has had struggles, but think about this. If you keep Fields, they've rebuilt the offensive line and give them credit for that. But if you gave him another wide receiver, you could use a pick on the defense, then maybe the Bears look a little better. And then you'd be like, oh, Justin Fields isn't the problem. But I definitely agree with you. Eberflus has to go, get an offensive mind there. Then you can really evaluate Justin Fields.
Yeah. I just can't watch Bears games because it just feels like every other play is a screen pass. Right.
Yeah. And it's like the NFL is not a league full of idiots. Other teams know that's what you're trying to do. It's very easily to defend a screen pass when you know it's coming every other passing play. Justin Fields. I don't know why people think that he's not this good quarterback. Justin Fields will be fine if the Bears ever figure out how to put pieces around him. That's the only thing that he needs right now. And coaching staff.
Okay. Yeah, like Justin Fields, I think he's a phenomenal athlete, but he's a phenomenal deep ball thrower as well. Just seems they never actually have him uncork any deep balls.
Yeah.
Every time he throws one, it's a thing of beauty. He throws dimes down the field.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems that they look at his strengths and then they're like, make a game plan. Just completely opposite of all of that and wonder why he's not doing good.
Right. That's why I'm like, get an offensive guy there. You already have DJ Moore, which I love that move. You pair DJ Moore up with a young wide receiver like a Marvin Harrison Jr., and you tell me what that offense looks like next season. Just saying. Okay, so I guess we can, coming down to the end of the show here. Got about 20 minutes to go. I guess we could talk about some of the games of Week 9, but first, another message from the network.
Hey guys, it's Pavel the Cat.
And Evan Rev Reynolds.
And we are Two Guys in Hockey Talk. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to talk all things hockey. What do we talk about, Evan?
We talk KHL, AHL, ECHL, every HL hockey league you can think about, prospects, juniors, even the professional women's hockey league.
Yeah, we love it. And we have a website, Two Guys in Hockey Talk. So give us a follow. We got articles on all things related to hockey, and we're writing all throughout the season. So make sure you tune in. We're also on X or Twitter. You can find me at hockey_2, and
you can follow me at RevanEv. Or you can also go to twoguyesandhockeytalk.com to follow everything.
We love hearing from you guys, so make sure you tune in, comment, like, give us a follow on our Facebook and YouTube page. We love hearing from you guys, and it's a blast talking all things hockey. Right, Evan?
Hey, man, it is. So, as we say every show, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice Cheers.
Cheers.
And we're back. I mean, look, if you're a hockey fan, even if you're not a hockey fan, definitely check out Two Guys in Hockey Talk. Great show. I mean, you'll learn something. So, like I said, before we get out of here, we can look at the Week 9 slate. I'm not going to look at every game, of course, because some of them, to be honest with you, don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So, we'll look at the big matchups of the week. You know, we can give some predictions or a quick little breakdown. I think Gene kind of called this on Sideline to Sideline the lightning round. So we're going to use that here on the big three. Quick hitters on these games, and then we'll be ready to get out of here. I mean, look, out of respect to Jory, because she was here in the chat, we can start with Thursday night. Tennessee versus Pittsburgh. Tennessee 3-4, Pittsburgh 4-3. I do think this is an important game because now I feel like Will Levis has kind of brought a bit of a bounce and step to Tennessee, and now the season's looking a little bit more optimistic going forward. Pittsburgh, look, they're finding ways to win. You know, a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of people who were in this chat who were saying might be the first year Tomlin doesn't get over 500. Fast track a couple of weeks, they're 4-3, they're above 500. They've had a couple of big wins on the schedule. How do you see this game playing out? John's already saying he's picking the Steelers. It is in Pittsburgh, I will say that.
Oh, man. I hope Jory doesn't beat me up later for this one, but I'm going to go with Pittsburgh on this one. I think you're going to be looking at a young quarterback as great as he looked on Sunday. You're going to have the pressure that Pittsburgh team can generate, T.J. Watt and company. They really bring the heat. That is an elite defense. I think you're going to be looking at a situation where it's going to come down to can they get Derrick Henry going so they can relieve some pressure off of Levis, and I don't think it happens. So I got Pittsburgh, and I think it's going to be 24-14.
Okay. John does bring up a good point. The key for Tennessee is going to be Derrick Henry, and I'll say Tyjae Spears as well. Throw him in there. Those guys, especially in that environment in Pittsburgh, because you know that crowd is going to be electric for Thursday Night Football. If those two guys can take pressure off of Levis, because yes, Levis had a great week against the Falcons, but this is kind of a step up in competition with the Steelers. So expect to see not quite the same game as he had against Atlanta, and it's whether or not Henry and Spears they can kind of fall back on to kind of calm things down. I mean, look, Jory, you know, you're my people. I might have to go with Pittsburgh on this one. I feel like T.J. Watt and that defense is going to cause some problems for Tennessee. Next matchup, this one is early Sunday. I believe this one's in Germany. Dolphins Chiefs. Both teams are 6-2, but I feel like their 6-2s are viewed much differently. You know, Kansas City, it's like, oh wow, they're really 6-2 with all the issues they've had offensively. With the Dolphins, it's like a more exciting, sexier brand of football that's led them to be 6-2. So looking at these two teams, how do you see this one playing out between the Chiefs and the Dolphins?
I got Miami on this one. I think I really want to, believe in Patrick Mahomes. I'll never count out Patrick Mahomes, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs found a way to win this one. I just think the Dolphins they're both 6-2, but the Dolphins just look flat out better right now. I think their offense looks much better. I think the Chiefs' defense actually has been very good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're asking me who I think has a better chance of generating offense, Miami versus the Chiefs defense or the Chiefs versus Miami, especially with Ramsey back and already making plays, I have more faith in the Chiefs offense right now. Or the Chiefs. I have more faith in the Dolphins offense than the Chiefs offense. So give me the Dolphins, and I think this one will be a one-score game.
John said Taylor Swift won't be there. He had to. Appreciate the update. I'll take the Dolphins as well. Look, I've said if Tua is upright and under center, the Dolphins arguably are the best team in the AFC. I said before the season they're going to win the AFC East. I feel much better about that, going forward. And look, maybe Tua's turned the corner. He's getting the ball out of his hand much quicker, which is allowing him to not take those hits that he was taking last season. Look, you got Waddle, you got Tyreek Hill. Why hold on to the ball? You get it to them in space, they'll make magic happen. So yeah, I just think the Dolphins will score way too much for the Chiefs to keep up. So I agree with you. I'll take the Dolphins in that one.
I do think the Chiefs do have a great answer for Tua. I think they can generate pressure up the middle, and I think they can slow down that offense quite a few. If Chris Jones is on, then I think it's a closer game than a lot of people expect.
Okay, I can see that. Let's see the next game. All right, so this is another big game on the schedule. We have the 5-2 Seahawks traveling to Baltimore for those 6-2 Ravens, who are just that close to winning the Super Bowl, as the Ravens fans would tell you. How do you see that one going? Because look, you got Geno Smith on one side, you got Lamar Jackson on the other, you got Pete Carroll, you got John Harbaugh.
Man,
who comes out on top? Because we know it's tough for West Coast teams to travel, especially in the 1 o'clock window to the East Coast. It's been a bit of an issue over the years. But do you think the Seahawks could pull off, I guess, a minor upset in Baltimore?
I think they can, but I don't think it happens. I do think that the additions of Leonard Williams that they just got at the deadline, I think that'll be a great impact for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not sure it happens in game one because they still got to, get used to the schemes and playing with these new players and everything. And I don't even know if, they'll play this week or if he'll play this week. But I do think it'll be a close game. I think this game is going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, like you said, West Coast teams tend to have trouble when they travel over to the East Coast. I think this will be a great, fun, low-scoring game, but I think the Ravens do come out on top.
I'm going with the Seahawks. I just think I don't know, like Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. I feel like what they got going on, they're one of those teams who won't be fazed by Baltimore. The key for them against Baltimore is going to be obviously make the Ravens one-dimensional. If they're able to run the ball, play action, the quick little passes over the middle, even though, the offense is supposed to be this juggernaut, it's still an offense that relies on Lamar with his legs to not only run, but escape pressure and make plays over the middle, and Mark Andrews as well. If you can make it that you're up 10 points or so and Lamar's having to drop back and throw it time after time, I feel like you're able to better play against Baltimore, especially at home. Like John said, if the Ravens can slow down Kenneth Walker, he thinks the Ravens will win it. I mean, luckily for Seattle, they do have Charbonnet as well. Pretty good running back duo. But look, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say I love Charbonnet. I wanted the Packers to target him in the draft.
Yeah. Look, Tyler Lockett is one of the more unsung guys in the league. He's one of the reasons why, even though I'm a Patriots fan, I've always paid attention to Tyler Lockett and the Seahawks. I just think that they find a way to get the win in Baltimore. This is going to be a clock management kind of game. I can agree with that. And look, you're telling me Baltimore's coming at you with Gus Edwards, or you get Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet from Seattle. Give me the Seattle duo. But I think it's going to be a fun game, like you said. I think that one's going to be hard-hitting, and especially if like Frank Clark and Leonard Williams do play, I think that kind of pushes it even more towards Seattle. Let's see. All right. I mean, this one could be the marquee matchup in the 4 o'clock window. The Cowboys and the Eagles. We know Fox is going to have a field day with this matchup. You could bet you're going to see the Deshaun Jackson kick punt return in the little pregame video cut, which is still one of the more fascinating plays of recent. When he basically muffed the punt, picked it up, basically stood still for like half a second, and then shot through a gap like a cannon, and then was the game-winning score. Cowboys, I don't know. You'll probably see some Romo stuff in there. Who knows? It's the Cowboys. Divisional rivals here. The Eagles are 7-1. Eagles have had some questions around their team as well. Haven't played the same as last season in some of these games, but aren't they just clearly the better team here? And they're just going to show that once again. Look, we've seen the Cowboys when they went up against the Niners, another high-profile team, and they wet the bed. Are they going to do the same thing here against a really good Eagles team? And it's in Philly, as John said. Yes, it's in Philadelphia.
I want to say Philly wins this, right? And I will go with Philly winning this. I'm not going to count out Dallas, though, because anytime there's a divisional game, Dak Prescott seems to turn up his game another notch. He's very good against the NFC East. I'll give him credit for that. I don't know exactly the record, but if I remember correctly, he just seems to always get it done when playing a division rival. But at the end of the day, I just think the Eagles, they're too talented. I think they're just a much better football team than Dallas. So I'll still take Philly, but don't count out Dallas because Dak just seems to thrive in these situations.
I'm gonna take Philly. I'm not sold on Dallas. You know, I know that they're 5-2, but it just seems like against the upper echelon teams, maybe I'm reading too much into the Niners game, but I think that said a lot about the Cowboys because Cowboys went into that week making it seem like it was a big game for them, and then they just did not show up. And part of me thinks we might get kind of a similar situation here against the Eagles. Because California's, look, this is the game of the year, I guess, outside of the game in Dallas as well. But the Eagles are the team that they measure themselves up against. And I just have a feeling that one of these weeks, the Eagles are going to just snap their finger, turn it completely on, and show people how much talent that they have and how good they really are. Hurts has had some issues throwing the ball some weeks as well. I guess there's some questions about whether or not he's playing through an injury or not. But hold on. John says, now with that being said, Carter is questionable. If he doesn't play, give me Dallas. That would be a big loss, but yeah, I'll take the Eagles. For some fact of it being in Philly, I think that sways it to them. But I think the Eagles probably win by 6.
I would say I just looked it up. Dak is 8-3 against Philly in his career.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Gotta give him credit for that. Let's see. Oh, okay, Sunday night. Bills-Bengals. Now, look, this is a game that, once again, it'll probably be the Hamlin thing was the last time with these two. But whenever you get Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, it's always a big matchup. The Bills are 5-3. The Bengals are 4-3. I think, once again, this is kind of a matchup with two teams going in different directions. People seem to be down on the Bills a little bit now while they're buying Bengals stock again. So it is in Cincinnati. Like I said, it's a Sunday night game. How do you see this one playing out?
I think this one's just going to end up being an absolute shootout. I think it's going to be a very entertaining, high-scoring game.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the Bengals seem to be back, or they're really close to that form they had last year. They're hot. They're rolling. I will say that they continue on that trend at home Sunday Night Football. Seems like a perfect stage for Joe Burrow to show out once again. I'll take the Bengals in this one, and I'll take them by 3. It'll be a close one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking the Bengals. I said early in the show, I have bought into the Bengals. I think it's only a matter of time before they probably win a Super Bowl. Although that window could be closing a little bit because of monetary reasons and who they'll be able to keep or lose. But yeah, I'm definitely encouraged by the Bengals the past couple of weeks. I think that Niners win is just going to propel them even further. And yeah, I think this will be a shootout. Unfortunately, at times when you get a shootout with Josh Allen, that means he'll make one or two throws that'll have you scratching your head as to what's the decision making. And ultimately, in a game like this, that could be where the game ends up being lost by Buffalo. A key turnover in this game. So yeah, I'll take the Bengals to improve to 5-3 and continue their good trend. So we have about 8 or 9 minutes left to go. John says he's got the Bengals 33-28. I could see that. So I think one last message from the network, and then we'll be ready to get out of here. So we will be right back.
Hey, this is Chris from Coffee and Sports, the morning show over on Sports Empire Network.
And this is Mo. Catch us on Northeast Streaming Sports Production, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 10 a.m.
We hope to see you there.
Always got to show love to the morning show. It's a great way to get your day started during the week. Brett, you're on there. Which days are you on the morning show?
Normally Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Fridays. I gotta make sure to set my alarm to make sure I'm up to be on there this Friday.
All right, so look, if you want to get more from Brett, make sure you check him out. Like I said, the morning show Tuesdays and Fridays. I've made one appearance on the morning show. Had a lot of fun. Who knows? I may pop up some other times. I was actually a little fill-in host for Chris one morning. Had a lot of fun doing it. It's like I said, it's a great show. You know, Chris and Mo have a great rapport. They go back and forth. They give you everything, get you started. But I guess before we do get out of here, we do have to shout out our teams. So your Packers this week are facing the Rams. Rams are 3-5, Packers 2-5. It's at Lambeau Field. How do you think your team will do Sunday?
At this point, I'm pretty obligated to say terrible.
Okay.
It really feels like the Packers come out there and they don't game plan at all. It almost feels like they don't game plan until halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Because this team looks really good coming into the second half, and they make the right adjustments. But the issue is it doesn't seem like they do that coming into the game. I think they're going to run into a situation where they're going to bottle up the run. They're going to force Jordan Love to throw the ball a lot. And Aaron Donald's going to be all over him. And the few throws that Jordan Love does make, the receivers just aren't catching them. This offense is too young and it's not ready. I think the Rams win, and they win it pretty convincingly. They win it by probably at least 2 touchdowns. As much as I would love to pick the Packers here, I can't say they've given me any reason to pick them. So I'm going to go Rams, and I'm going to pick Rams in a blowout.
Okay. See, look, like you said, it's very easy to go homer with everything, but, Brett's a pro. He's going to give you the real talk. Look, for me, my Patriots, also like your Packers, are at home. Have the Commanders coming in. No Chase Young. To be honest with you, if Chase Young was there. Actually, no Montez Sweat either. Mac Jones is sleeping a little better, knowing that those two won't be in Washington. I'm with John. John's a fellow Pats fan. I think the Pats get the win here. Look, I did a live stream of the Dolphins game. I almost lost it, but I think they get their 3rd win of the season. I think this game against Washington could be a Ramondre Stevenson game. Just going to throw that out there. Hate the news of Bourne being out because that's like Mac Jones' favorite wide receiver. Although Demario Douglas is slowly becoming his new favorite. So I'm sure he'll get some more opportunities. And defensively, New England is still playing well. Sam Howell's been kind of up and down this year. And I think the Patriots defense will be able to confuse them. So I'll take the Patriots over the Commanders. I'll say they get it done by. I'll throw 6 points out there. A 1-possession game. John says Colts and Panthers will be interesting. Oh, that's true because the Colts, Panthers, and Texans, I believe, all play each other. So all the young quarterbacks play against each other. So that will be interesting. Well, Anthony Richardson's not there. That would have made it more interesting. But Colts and Panthers, okay. And John says Falcons over the Vikings and Giants over the Raiders.
Giants over the Raiders is interesting because is Tyrod Taylor going to be back, or are they running that third string guy all game?
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor's back. I'm there with you, John. If not, I think even the dysfunction of the Raiders can't lose to that Giants team. Or maybe they can because they are the Raiders.
I don't think the dysfunction of the Raiders has no boundaries. I could still see them finding a way to lose.
Yeah, that's probably good for you. The Falcons or the Vikings, they're in Atlanta, so I do see that because Atlanta and outside of Atlanta are two completely different teams, and it's gonna be the first game, I guess, of the Josh Dobbs, not John, the Josh Dobbs led Vikings, and that Falcons defense is pretty good. So yeah, I could see that it might be a rough day for Dobbs and the Vikings.
Oh, Giants have Daniel Jones. Okay.
He's questionable but hurt today. He was limited practice today. He's back. Okay.
Poor Minnesota fans. Like,
oh man, I feel so
going
bad.
into the game and you're going to have to watch Desmond Ridder versus Josh Dobbs. That sounds like my worst nightmare.
Well, actually, look, Heineke showed a better command of the offense. I mean, I can't say that I know whether or not Arthur Smith has made a decision. The way Arthur Smith is, he'll kind of wait a couple of days. Like, if you're a Falcons fan, do you want to see Desmond Ridder back? Look, we'll see Sunday. If Ritter's trotting out there or Heineke sees that position for at least a couple of weeks, because Heineke is 2-3 weeks, you get gold, and then after that, you're kind of getting diminished returns. Would you put money on Bears over Saints? Brain says no, but something been telling me going to be a weird one.
I personally wouldn't put money on anything Bears just because I don't trust their coaching staff that much.
I think if the Saints lose that game, you have more questions about them than necessarily because I'm not a Tyler Badgen or however you pronounce his name. I'm not a believer in him. I think the Saints defense should be enough to bottle up the Bears offense with him, but it's the Saints. You just never know. All right. I mean, got a minute and a half here, so we might as well just close it out. Brett, you have anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Just catch me on the morning show, and I'll be back to writing my articles for Sports Empire Network.
All right. I have to get back to writing articles as well. But yeah, look, I appreciate you stepping in again, Brett. Always have a great time talking sports with you. Look, this is the big three. We're here every week. As John says, Cards have a chance over the Browns. I don't think so. That Browns defense is too good. And don't sleep on Houston versus the Bucks. All right. I like Houston. But like I said, big three's here every week, 7 o'clock. This week was a little bit later because I had some issues with traffic. But definitely appreciate all of you in the chat. John, Key, Jory, Mo. I know I'm missing some names, but Daniel Barry. Definitely appreciate all of you. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Appreciate it. We'll be back here next week. Good show tonight. Appreciate that, John. We'll see who the panel will be. Maybe you get a third week of Brett. Who knows? Little teaser there. But thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your night. We're out of here. See you next week. Oh, also, if you missed any part of it, check us out, Northeast Streaming Sports in the morning, 11 a.m. to 1. All right. That's about everything. So now we're out of here. See you guys next week.